I like some of his songs, I see his face on a lot of t-shirts, but perhaps the most fascinating detail about this new Bob Marley musical biopic is that dreadlocks can stop bullets. I'll discuss that and a lot more in this spoiler-free review of Bob Marley, One Love. It's 1976, and Jamaica is on the brink of civil war. Bob Marley hopes his music can bring healing to the island he calls home. But when danger reaches his family, the legendary reggae singer must make decisions that affect him, his loved ones, and perhaps the world. But how can he bring peace to others if he can't bring peace to himself? Bob Marley, One Love started on the right note. It quickly establishes the era and the turmoil surrounding our characters. I specifically loved the visual aesthetic of the film, designed by Oscar-winning cinematographer Robert Elswit, renowned for his work on films like There Will Be Blood, Nightcrawler, and many more. I liked the performances led by Kingsley Ben-Adir as Bob Marley, and even more Lashana Lynch as his strong yet conflicted wife, Rita. I liked the music of Bob Marley and his band, The Wailers, that was dispersed throughout the hour and 44-minute runtime.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom?
I liked the message that promoted peace and unity. The fact is, there's nothing I really disliked about this movie. However, the whole seemed less than the sum of its parts. After a pretty intense opening that includes an assassination attempt, and I have to say it's one of the weakest assassination attempts I've ever seen, we learned that one character was shot in the head at point-blank range and survived the attack. At the hospital, the doctor said the dreadlocks stopped the bullet 1 inch from the brain. And there was no more discussion. It was practically a throwaway line. That may be the most interesting thing I heard in the entire film, and they just act like, yeah, makes sense. However, after that captivating introduction, the remainder of the movie slips into the many predictable tropes of musical biopics. In fact, it had several moments that felt like direct recalls from the parody Walk Hard, whether it's Bob Marley reflecting on his whole life before performing a song, or the band convincing a record producer to give them just one more shot. This film did little that felt original.
Walk hard.
When Marley and his band write and record their groundbreaking album, Exodus, which Time magazine called the greatest album of the century, we don't get to see any of the inspiration or the blood, sweat, and tears required to create such a masterpiece. There's a brief scene where Bob explains that this album needs to be special, and that's about it. Insert a musical montage of Bob Marley energetically performing on a variety of stages. When it comes to the message of the story, I can get on board with peace and unity, but in the context of the film, these important themes felt hollow. Perhaps the real Bob Marley made huge strides in these areas, but within the film, his contribution feels like empty words with no action. It reminds me of how the NFL writes "end racism" in their end zones, like "problem solved. Thanks, NFL." And to be honest, there may have been some really profound moments in One Love that I missed because of the film's biggest issue. It is really difficult to understand the dialogue because of the thick Jamaican accents. This is a major problem, and they may be accurate accents, but it makes it essentially impossible to understand the countless conversations. The movie could have really benefited by having captions, and so it may be a much better viewing experience at home where you'll have that option. This movie is quite clean, rated PG-13 for, I imagine, smoking and drug use. I didn't hear any swearing, but now that I think about it, there may have been a ton of language that I didn't understand because of the accents. Again, I really like the vibe of this movie, but beneath that enjoyable atmosphere is a rather vapid message and a lackluster portrayal of a rather influential man who didn't worry about a thing. Thanks for watching. If you like this review, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future reviews. Also, you can check out my past reviews, reactions, whatever, by clicking on any of these boxes.